Hello, welcome to the first RPC Q&A on November the 1st, 2018. My name is Blairin. I am the RPC Admin and Manager of Lore, and among other things, first detractor of CFO. Arbiter.
Hi, I am Arbiter. Thank you for unmuting me. I am Arbiter_Soul, as you know me in both Discord and on Wiki. My main job is basically to manage the forums. I am a moderator, and I also am technically the head of the project, the source project that we are currently doing over by a community in the Discord.
Hi, I'm Coupon or Croal. I am a site admin. I coordinate our contests, and I am also doing general administration.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lupin. I am a moderator on both the Discord and the site. I mainly focus on lore when it comes to things like persons of interest, groups of interest, and MSTs.
Hi, I'm Gloop. I edit things. I'm an admin.
Hello, I'm Sinaticus. I am also one of the moderators and lore managers. I typically head up page rewrites for lore-related pages that are not articles.
Hi, I'm Von Pincier, or just Von. I'm an admin as well. I do a lot of writing, both in terms of articles, but also in terms of crit on new articles and sort of, just editing, I guess.
Hello, I'm ThermicLine. I am. Sorry, what?
No, go.
Go on, Thermic.
All right. I am ThermicLine, and I am a moderator on RPC, and I mostly run the Twitter, and I'm in charge of general quality control on the site, and I also help around with the lore.
All right. With way, let's get to the meat of why we're here. Can you, whoever is typing random letters in the questions, please stop that. Thank you.
Sorry,
Our first question, which is much longer and larger than any of us can answer alone with any meaningful capacity, is what happened since CFO?
Before we start answering, just worth mentioning for those who are curious, these questions are taken from various sources: Volgun's Discord, the SCP Declassified Discord, the Wayward Society Wiki Discord, and various other things from on site. Sorry, carry on, Blairin.
That would have been the description, but it's okay. Nobody reads the description anyway.
Fug.
Who would like to start with the question, what happened since CFO?
I'll start a little bit. I'll start with actually what CFO was doing. So CFO started the RPC Wiki with the goal of making an alternative to SCP with different moderation. CFO's goal was very different than our goal is today. He wanted no real changes from the SCP Wiki, which is why we started out with the SCP Wiki font. We looked almost exactly the same, and we have been changing that since CFO has gone.
All right. Anyone else want to add anything before I speak my piece?
I would say that as in defense of CFO's character, and as somebody who was not present for literally all of what's about to be discussed, CFO's a great guy. He's a little stroppy sometimes, but I would say unequivocally the dude is bad at managing people. He started a good thing, but regrettably didn't do a very good job of carrying through with it. Anyway, carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're talking about if CFO is a nice guy, he basically only showed that to about 5 people on the server, so I can't speak for that. In my experience, CFO was someone who was uncompromising in his views. Something that might be good if you have a vision. Unfortunately, his vision was someone else's. CFO CFO was the main reason we started NDI. Well, his mismanagement of people and the eventual kicking and banning of Gloop, which spurred NDI overnight into.
So
Yeah.
sorry, I just wanted to clear it up that NDI was formed by some of the mods here.
Yeah, I was gonna get to
Okay,
that.
just making sure.
Uh-huh.
It didn't seem like you were.
NDI, which is New Dawn Initiative, which was our temporary home for about 4 days. It was created originally to be a replacement of RPC, as none of us on the moderator team thought he would step down in any way, seemingly uncompromising. The reason he did step down is quite embarrassing and something I won't tarnish CFO with. But since CFO, we have had a complete overhaul in many designations of lore, object classes, and other miscellaneous things on the site. We're trying very hard to differentiate ourselves from the original SCP clone that he deigned us to be. Anyone else want to add to that?
I think that's good.
All right. If there's nothing more to say, then let's get on to the explanations of what we have done to differentiate ourselves from SCP. This includes object classes, continuous lore, hubs, media, and the single central canon, which I think Sinaticus would be best off explaining. Someone unmute him?
He's unmuted.
Right, so to start off, let's go with the object classes, where the first monumental task was to solve the synonymy problem that the original object classes have, and in my opinion, still have. In other words, when we think of the classical SCP containment, object classes, without it really being true, people believe that, well, safe entails this, that, and this. Keter entails this, that, and this. So I worked tirelessly. Well, I say that, but anyway, so I worked on this new system to separate the idea of synonymy from containment. So an object class in the RPC Authority universe now has two entailments within its rating system. There's its lethality rating, which is represented via color, and there is its containment rating, which is represented via its name, so alpha, beta, gamma, so on and so forth. And what this allows us to do is separate any chance of our version of safe being synonymous with harmless, or our version of Keter being synonymous with incredibly dangerous. These two are not the same at any given point. And then we improved the object classes a little more, added stuff like epsilon, which helped give a little more flavor to what's possible. In terms of continuous lore, in SCP, everything is lore, or nothing is canon, rather. The inverse can be said for SCP. It's everything is canon, and so we have to keep a consistent canon, and we have several moderators, such as myself, that help moderate what's going on the site and help push individual projects a certain way. And for the most part, everyone appears to be on board with this. So this was a community effort. The RPC Authority in on itself is subdivided into 3 main divisions. And you will be able in the future to explore these individual divisions, what they do, take a look at some of their experiments, and so on and so forth. We also have our acquired media section, which will be the first in many pages we are committing to cater to things beyond creative writing. So RPC as a site will be attempting to court things beyond just creative writers. And the acquired media page is going to be one of those examples.
All right. I think you said that quite well. Should we? I guess I'll talk about the hubs then first. Uh, most, I'd say most characters in SCP are quite flat. Besides the author insert characters, which have some dimension to them, not a lot, but some. I do think that most characters in SCP are quite flat in, well, normal people. We introduced the 3 divisions because we wanted there to be some sort of world building between normal people, as if they all had their own jobs that made the world work, and it affected how they interacted with each other. My division, otherwise known as the Protection Division, manages guarding and safeguarding humanity from all of the terrible things that seem to just spawn out of nowhere. Coupon? Your division?
So, well, not really mine. Mine
Yeah.
and Thermic, we both work on it there, is Research Division. Research is doing experiments, and then we are also working to further the world and humanity's stance. So there will be a lot of lore building, a lot of experiments. Should be fun.
And it's worth mentioning that when any of us say, like, our division, this is not implying ownership.
Mhm.
This is just who is guiding the lore
The
team.
admin on board.
90% of
Yes.
this lore, 95% is entirely drawn from the community.
But we actually have a non-admin leader, the brave man who has taken up containment, Ascriber. Would you like to describe your division?
Hi, I'm Ascriber. I do writing, bit of an enthusiast with RPC. That's about it, certainly not staff. But yeah, containment. It's giving a voice and a place on the site for the unsung heroes of any organization. Janitors, maintenance staff, technicians, the guys who build the sites. I mean, these are miracles of engineering. Human, just great bravery when there's a containment breach or what have you. So, give a voice to them. I might be the only guy writing for them now, but they have an equal place on the site, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think that just about wraps up that question.
Actually, do you mind if I add on a little bit, Blairin?
Sure.
Yeah, something that was proposed a very long time back when CFO was still in charge, but he shut down because he was, well, trying to be controlling of writing and all that, was that the 3 divisions, protection, containment, and research, were kind of unhappy with the other's actions. This was kind of spawned off of the idea of the inspiration taken off this when I made this proposal was the inter-service rivalry between the Imperial Japanese Navy and the Imperial Japanese Army back in World War II. There's a couple tales on this on the site, so its canonness is there to release, but it's effectively when something happens or something goes wrong, containment's either research and protection are either yelling at containment for doing a good enough job, protection and containment are yelling at research for triggering it to happen, and containment and protection are yelling at containment and research are yelling at protection for not having done enough to help stop it. It's more of like we're all kept in check by a sort of the board, really, which is kind of like the higher council, and another proposed industry called HR or human resources, but I think that was shut down completely by CFO. So that status is completely null from my current knowledge.
Well, I think that.
Oh, go ahead, Coupon.
Sorry. They were going to bring up renaming D class as well to differentiate, but yeah, I really like the not really inter hub fighting, but each of the hubs have their own goals and their own resources and their own, pretty much.
Clipping out.
Speak.
Everyone has their own goals, and everyone's working towards the betterment of humanity, but we each have different ways of doing it.
That's
So
presented. Oh, you
we
go first.
but another thing that we've been working on a lot, which is quite a bit different from SCP, and I think it'll really help us differentiate, is the fact that each individual article, tale, what have you, on SCP, different canon. If it's not if another SCP is not mentioned, generally you're not supposed to regard that as being in the same world as them. Each is their own self-contained. What we're trying to strive towards with RPC is that it's all one timeline. Everything fits into this world. So we're putting a much greater emphasis on the groups of interest, the hub pages, like was said earlier, because we're trying to truly flesh out a world here. That's why we're also doing the acquired media. It can take many different forms.
And
If
it's
I
worth
may.
mentioning, we've had accusations that we're sort of being overly controlling and that we're restricting what people can write because we have a centralized lore. And of course, our big difference here is, I mean, as our SCP has multiple canons, we have multiple timelines, and I believe there are currently 2 which are vaguely official or unofficial or followed by different people. But generally speaking, overall, it's a lot more centralized for sure.
Thermic?
I actually don't know what to really add at this point. I was more going to add about how, I guess the tribalism between the divisions is sort of to make the world of RPC seem more realistic in a way, because there is infighting sometimes in organizations, and it's to present some realism to a bleak world of RPC.
All right. And then there's the next question. The next question is, who gets to decide the big changes and how, which has been designated towards Coupon.
So both the community and the staff can make big changes, though each of us kind of do it to different sections. Staff decisions would be stuff that includes rule changes and administration. This all takes place in the office Discord that we're in now. It's public. Staff can hold meetings and we discuss site affairs and issues together and what actions to take about them. And these meetings are released as well so that people can listen to them. Community decisions would be stuff like the lore builders, and they attend meetings and make huge changes to the site and guide the direction of the site really and the lore that we're making. The communities made the new article format that we had today, and they created the division lore as well. So really anyone can join and help to build if they're passionate about the site.
And Ascriber, you'd like to add on to that?
Yeah, and if I may, I'm not just saying that, and certainly I've had my arguments with the staff, but I'm not just saying that it's all open and on a public server just to sound good. It really is. I mean, it's the whole reason I'm here and talking here. And you can see all the decisions that are made and how they were made and how they came to be as they're happening. That's really nice to see. Really really good to see. I just can't phrase it any better. You know you're in good hands, and if you're not, you can talk about it and make objections to it.
Do you mind if I add on there?
Sure.
There's been talk among the more casual users of SCP. I'm not slinging SCP at all here, where the lines of communication can become quite blurred, where the casual user doesn't even really know who exactly has administrative and moderative powers. We really want to seek to eliminate that here. We want you to know who to go to for each issue, so we can have a much more clear cut.
All right. Anyone have anything else to add? If that's all, let's move on to the next article. What will you do for user accountability? If a user breaks another server's rules? Anyone like to take this, or should I take it?
We will
Well, I
crush
think
them
it
like
matters.
insects.
I think it matters on a case-by-case basis. Like, because it really depends as to whether or not it occurred within the context of RPC. Because if it did, well, then I think we do have to act, and if it didn't, then for the most part, whenever that stuff comes up, I'm more in favor to side with the members who broke the quote rules at that point.
So one thing for RPC that we do have is that if you are doxing or raiding other servers, that is absolutely against our rule. But if you're just breaking another server's rule that we don't necessarily have, we can't punish for that. We don't do that.
It's not our goal or our place to police what you do on the internet. It's our goal and place to police what you do on the RPC. The RPC is a limited world. We're not going to chase you down because you had opinions or did something dumb elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think that about states it. What is the overall focus with most of the articles?
To create an expansive universe featuring a shadowy government organization that researches and contains anomalous objects.
I think in terms of general theming, overall, the RPCs, it's a little bit more grounded and down to earth. We have fewer gigantic world-ending anomalies and a lot more just weird shit that makes life difficult. Generally, there is a bit more of a focus on horror, obviously. Not always in the form of like, oh, it's a scary monster that jumps out at you, but certainly a lot of our, what might be termed very, very non-dangerous artifacts are still quite lethal and have some really intense stuff. And also an organization that is quite, definitely international. There's a lot of RPCs that are very, very culturally focused. But overall, just smaller scale, bit spookier, bit less likely to grow claws and eat you, with a few exceptions.
Yeah, I'm going to add on this again and say that, at least from my personal interpretation, RPC is not necessarily kind of like this whole like international secretive organization, kind of like what the Foundation is in SCP-verse. Like, there are most certainly countries and areas of the world where RPC's influence is limited or just completely does not exist. For example, in lore, China is a little bit of a limited spot because they have their own version of the, they have like their own little thing, the PCAAO. And even then, RPC's influence is limited in some other countries, such as in the UK, where they have MI13. So it's more of like RPC isn't as necessarily... And I noticed this when I was reading a couple tales in SCP-verse. It's more of like when the Foundation fucked up, everything was just donezo. There was nothing that anyone could do to stop it. It's more of, even then, RPC still has like notable rivals that in some cases are even more powerful than them, and they kind of gotta like negotiate and stay on friendly terms with all these other GOIs. Like, nothing is inherently hostile, except for like, groups that happen to be like completely hostile, like, the Church of Malthus, Gear, etc.
Those wacky old nihilites.
Those nihilists.
Yeah, them too.
Let's close out on this. How are you guys going to prove that you are an anti-LGBT? All people are accepted, whether you believe it or not. Next question. What are you guys doing to have your own style? Anyone like to take this?
We got a lot of skateboards, got like a cool flip tricks and all that.
I wear my hats backwards and sometimes even sideways.
When you join, you get a lanyard.
Well, this is just kind of basically a repeat of what did we do
to differentiate ourselves?
To differentiate ourselves from SCP.
Tubular.
Again, one of the basic things that we've done is we've taken vague or poorly constructed original concepts, and we have recreated them to be more expansive and more specific. See the object class rework as a good example of that.
In terms of not necessarily in-universe style, but in terms of visual style, it's worth giving a shout out. We have a superb team of CSS artists and artists in general. We've had, just in addition to the general spicing up of format, we have some beautiful, beautiful custom theming. We've got a lot of really amazing art and a willingness to, somewhat more than the SCP, use stuff like 3D renders and paintings and things like that to depict objects in a way that makes sense in universe. So I would say visually we have an amazing visual arts team, and they deserve all the praise they've gotten. They're great.
Yeah, that's most certainly that as well. The main reason people think, and they do justify to say this, that we look a little bit similar to SCP. That's, again, we've gone over this. That's kind of CFO's fault because he basically wanted us to be exactly the same, just with, a different visual and moderation aspect.
I'd just like to add, for the Halloween contest that just passed recently, I want to give a great shout out to Dr. Vaughn. He did a good job on the general theme of the RPC Authority Halloween contest.
Mm-hmm.
That's VAUGHN, not VON. That's not me. Another Vaughn. He did a great job.
Thank you, Jenkins.
The better Vaughn, if you were.
Yeah. Speaking of the Halloween contest, were we going to mention format breaks and their place in the community later in another question, or can I just bring them?
You can bring them up.
Yeah. So what we're doing with our own style is to compare ourselves to SCP once again. Format breaks in RPC are either very limited. For example, the best use of a format break was the Halloween contest. The winning example, RPC 866, a very good article. Check it out if you would like a good read. That's one of the few format breaks that you're probably going to see on the site simply because of how well done it is. Whereas in SCP, a format break is really kind of seen as just like, oh, it's another format break. Whereas in our side of things, we're trying to make it so it's like you really gotta if you're gonna do a format break, you really need to do it well. Other than that, it's going to kind of be it's just you want a format, you can add on to it if you want, but you kind of got to stick to a thing, so you can't really just write a tale in place of an article. You want to if you want to break far from format, it's not going to be put on the main list. It's probably going to be a tale then if you're not going to stick to the main list format.
Suppose, yeah, this is a good place to mention that our system curation is, I wouldn't say much more harsh than SCP, but it is more rigorous. Every article we have posted on the site needs to be reviewed from at least 2 members of the site before they're allowed to be posted. And I think a lot of issues when it comes to cold posts and poorly written articles. You're seeing a lot less typos and stuff on articles.
I would like to mention, just because you brought up the cold posts there, that our cold posts are different than us. We just have a different system for that.
Is that all?
Well,
Yeah.
if I may,
Okay.
the overall focus, what is it, of all the article, just from a sort of lower perspective, you're watching our in-universe world develop with each article. I mean, some people write exclusively what they think is terrifying or horrifying, and others what's wondrous. And you see people stitching together their groups of interests and their collaborative ideas that they've made with other users. And through these articles and tales, it's the kind of thing that develops over time. It's not easy to summarize quickly, and certainly not in this setting. So you watch it happen. And while we talk about curation, a lot of people have said that RPC is very welcoming to new writers. No idea is stupid. We just take it, and we've got a whole server for it, just bouncing ideas around and making good things out of them. And you see them all over the site. And it's nice to see them.
We
That's
have
all I got.
a canon and writing system that can accommodate everything from a fish that forces you to talk about it in fish puns to an attack helicopter that starts violent African genocidal bush conflicts. And they all work.
Or some shitty hand pun joke. Yeah.
And when we say one continuous canon, that sounds a lot more restrictive than it is in practice. Because a lot of people just funnel their creativity into groups of interests, alternate realities even, all over the place. And you see these different elements come together and interplay and make some really good stories. So it's really not limiting at all.
Yeah, it's more of another thing too. If you and a couple of your buddies say yeah, you know what? I think I have this great idea for a POI, a GOI, or any part of the lore that's not in currently. You have the full right as a member of the site and a writer and a content creator to just make content for that, and it will become canon. There's a process if you want to add to the canon.
Let's draw it back in. They asked us what our own style was.
I guess the simplest way to say it is that it's anything you want so long as it's good.
Yeah.
That we are hip with the kids.
Amen.
All right, let's move on to the Next fun question. Will RPC be issuing a formal apology for the actions of their community, that of which being the targeted harassment of SCP members? No. RPC members are not RPC, they are the actions of an individual user. The actions of an individual user, though a member of RPC, do not make up the whole. Some harassers are not even a part of RPC and merely take up the name to slander us. This is not a accusation, and this is not a theory. We have hard evidence. Next question. Who is RPC as a culture, and does RPC accept all kinds of people? I think both of these questions are related enough to be nearly the same question. Anyone want to take it?
So wait, is it saying accepting of all cultures, or I'm just confused?
Are you
What
on
one?
the question page? There?
Yes, I am. Let me check
Well,
it again.
who is
We're people
RPC
who like
as a
to write
culture?
stories about stuff.
Yes.
Like,
there you go.
We're African
We're
warlords.
storytellers.
We gain territory. We warlord.
Mhm.
I mean,
I-
what?
Mhm.
It depends
think
on
I'd like-
defin.
Okay.
Sorry, you can go, Thermic. You can go, Thermic. I'm sorry.
Well,
All right. So I was gonna-
it's asking if we accept all kinds of people. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
If you have the passion, if you want to write, absolutely, we want you.
Listen, we don't care who you are as long as you meet the minimum age requirements and you are willing to contribute to the site. You are perfectly welcome here. We're anyone of any race, creed, or color. Anyone.
Yeah, in this case, on historical evidence, it's been talked recently that the content of the character matters more than the content of your skin. In this case, the content of your content. If you're a content creator, your content is going to matter more than anything you are as a person. If you can constantly make content and you can do good, no one's going to care who you are. And if someone does give you trouble, then you can take it up with us.
And another thing with that, even if not just if you're a great content creator, even if you're just starting out, if you have passion, we absolutely want you. That's all you need.
I think I think I think that covers culture, Thermic.
Mhm.
I think
I was
that
gonna
covers it.
say like, what is it? Like,
No.
what is RPC as a culture? I thought.
No, RPC is the people.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Vaughn?
Next question. Oh, you here say that you
No,
said a
no,
question.
continue.
Next question is, what kinds of speech are allowed on RPC? And if you'll permit Grandpa Vaughn to put on his lecturing hat, what a depressing question to ask. My God, the notion that a creative site would in any way restrict speech. Okay, here is our speech policy. We don't have one. We have a hands-off approach. You say whatever the hell you want. We don't care if you're woke. We don't care if you're red-pilled. We don't care if you're Aryan. You don't think the Holocaust happened. We don't care if you like hitting people with bike locks. We want you to be good contributors. If you write good stuff, if you contribute to the community in a positive way, if you behave productively, everybody needs to shitpost now and again. We don't mind. Do that in a way that doesn't bug people. Just get on with it. The very idea of policing speech in any form really goes against everything we stand for as a site. I mean, having a community where everybody agrees with each other, that doesn't produce anything productive. And having a community where people feel afraid to speak out, that also doesn't produce anything productive. We want you to be able to say what you want, because that tends to make for interesting writing and interesting discussions. So, I mean, don't be a dick, but yeah, why would we ever police speech?
Okay,
Yeah,
Pincier, I'm
okay.
gonna knock your fucking stupid cone hat off, alright?
Mine-
Say
It's a
whatever
nice
the fuck
hat.
you
Yeah.
want.
I'm gonna just interrupt here with since I'm forums kind of moderator, I kind of manage that, and I'm a Discord mod as well. So our policy there is but the kind of request is that you keep stuff where it belongs, like talk about art channels, writing channels. On the Discord, we have a politics channel. That's right, a politics channel. That's where all the politics is meant to be. That's where all of it is going to be kept. And for the most part, we expect discussions to be civil to an extent. If stuff starts getting into straight harassment or just unproductive shit posting, you're probably going to get shut down pretty quickly. Like was in the forums, don't start a general discussion thread ranting about, you know, uber red pilled the current candidate is, or how blue pilled Sweden is, or something like that. Just kind of keep, you're allowed to say whatever you want, but it's just kind of a general request and kind of an informal rule that you kind of keep on topic.
To add
I think
more
that
of a
covers
more
it
of a-
well.
I just wanted to say something here. Overall, no one cares what you believe in RPC. I've seen people collab on projects where one was extremely far left, what's called far left communist, and the other one was a very hard right fascist, and they were able to collab perfectly fine. As long as you're not lots of drama in the chats, you can say what you want.
You talking about me and Orison?
Who knows? Anyway, to add more of a to add
As
more
everyone
of a
knows, Blairin's a white supremacist.
Oh,
to add more of a Alright, to add more of a formal rule, the only thing that's not allowed is things that break TOS. So you're allowed to say whatever you want so long as you don't break the TOS of either Discord or Wikidot. You're
Or
allowed to say what you want.
excluding harassment, of course.
Oh
That's,
yeah,
that's one
harassment.
of our personal rules as well.
no, I think that about covers it.
Yep.
Is RPC willing to open up good relations with other communities going forward? Let's do something a little special here. Hey, Ankrum, could you say hello in Russian for me?
Привет.
All right. Hey, Vaughn. Hey, Vaughn, you baguette monkey. Could you say hello in French?
Salut, bonjour.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
And Arbiter, you weeaboo, could you say hello in Japanese?
Konbanwa.
Good enough.
Fucking weeaboo.
You didn't even ask me to speak in Spanish.
You're not foreign, Thermic.
No, we don't have relations with SCP Spanish.
Oh, feel sad,
As
man.
far as I
But-
know, we
Blairin?
have been building positive relationships with the Wayward Society, and we're currently working with the French SCP branch to build a French RPC branch, although it's not 100% official yet. The Russian one's
neither-
been put on hold for a little bit, but we still have good relationships with them as well.
I'd like to point out that even
So-
though the French,
China and Japan. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
I was just adding something. I would like to point out that even though the French RPC and SCP branches, they're not affiliated with each other at all.
So we are building relationships with other communities. We have been building good relationships with international communities and with other English sites.
Which we have then forward.
Yeah. Now we gotta age restrict the video. Good job.
Yeah. You don't get any monetization on this video.
Oh no, my 1 ruble.
Now my Bitcoin, my 0.00001 Bitcoin.
I believe that's it. We've answered all the questions that we've managed to
No,
get.
Sinaticus, you were gonna say something, remember? Concerning the Chinese and Japanese branch?
Well, I was just about to say that the Chinese and the Japanese at the moment are MIA. From what I can tell from our Google stats, we get a lot of Chinese and Japanese people, and we've had a lot of them come and ask us questions. Not a single one of them has tried making an offshoot in their respective region, though. So,
Although
I
we
guess
have
that's
had
up
this
in the
one.
air.
We are
Oh,
we
yeah.
are branching out internationally in some areas. We are building out communities in those areas as well.
Just gotta give it time, honestly. The international branches like that take time to develop.
Mm-hmm.
That is our last question, and it is now 39 and 25 seconds since we started
Can I
the
do my
recording.
outro? Can I do my outro?
You can
think
do
we should
your
start.
outro. Play us
This
out,
has
Johnny.
been. Wait, what?
No, just play us out, Johnny.
This has been live from the RPC office, the RPC administration and
Whoa.
moderative staff, along with special silent guests, Ascriber, Enkrum, Jenkins, and Best of the Fifth. Until next time, please don't shitpost outside the shitposting channel.
You
Stay
forgot
out of
Pearson.
traffic.
Oh,
I'm ending the recording now.